Hi everybody. I'm so happy you're here today because we're going to start a project that's going to be ongoing for a while. But this is going to be a fabulous scrap busting project. And it's one of those projects that, you just have it hanging around. You pick it up when you want to. You work on it when you want to. It's nothing that has to have a deadline or anything like that. Anybody can do it, and it's just going to all be with scraps and just simple stitching. Now, what I'm going to do is going to make a set of nesting boxes out of fabric. Now, a lot of people create these to actually be utility pieces where they use them to store things with and everything like that. But that's not what I'm going to do with mine. Mine is going to be a home decor piece. Now, on my coffee table, and I'll show you that in a little bit later, is a large fabric book where I have put it together for safekeeping for some of my fiber art. And it sits on my coffee table. My coffee table is pretty big. And so I want another large piece to sit there that might be interesting for people to look at as they can flip through my fabric book. What I'm envisioning for this project would be a nesting set of boxes, kind of like the Russian doll thing, that they could, take out one at a time and look at all the different scrap patterns and all of that. So for me, it's home decor, but it could be used. Pieces could be taken out of it. It could be used. So it's not that it can't, but I have a place for it and a particular destination and a design in mind. I also love the fact that I'm going to be able to use a lot of my scraps on this, and I definitely can use something that uses up some of my scraps. I can't really get more scraps till I use up some of what I've got, isn't that right? So this is kind of what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to start with my littlest box. And I don't even know what this is. I just cut a square that I thought I might want to start with. This is it's 2 inches. So a 20. I'm starting with a 20. Then I put it down and I cut me a square that was about a 1/2 inch bigger all the way around. That would be my next box. Now I'm thinking that as I go up 1.5 inches on the outside, enlarge it. Each time I'll enlarge my next section and keep going until I get to the point where I want to be. I'm not quite sure what my finished size will be, but I'm thinking maybe something like a 10 by 10. So I'll just graduate till I get there, and I'll test it out and see if that's big enough. If not, I'll make it bigger. But it's just going to be fun for me, and I thought it's a project that you might want to jump in and do with me. This will probably be a 2025, 2026 project, because like I said, this is going to be something I'm just going to work on from time to time. And I'm not going to start it and then rush through and finish it. That's not what I'm going to do. It's just going to be a project I'm working on. But this is going to be a simple thing. I'm going to cut 5 of these out of batting, 4 for the sides and 1 for the bottom. Simple enough. We'll cover them in fabric. So let's just, let me find some batting here. And let's get started with that. So we've got some scrap batting here. And I need 5 of this size. So we'll just, this side's better. All right. Like I said, don't sweat this project. This one is pure fun. just pure fun. Just do it for you. Okay. Get my bigger scissors would be better, I think. There's two. We get two more out of this. This is definitely a beginner project. It's easy, easy, easy. I'm not doing fancy embroidery. I'm going to be just sewing scraps. And so straight stitching for me will be it. Now I will be doing a whip stitch to connect my sides. Simple stitch also. So don't be scared if you're brand new. There's nothing hard about this. If you got some scraps, and if you don't, scraps are easy to come by. Clean out your closet. Things you can't wear, cut them up. Beg, borrow, steal old clothes from other people and cut them up. Go to the thrift store. Look at the markdown rack, the dollar rack. Buy some interesting clothes with interesting fabrics and cut them up. And you'll have all the scraps you need. All right, I don't need 6, so I'll just take one of those out of that pile and save him for later. Okay, that's my first box, believe it or not. I'll save this for something else, and I'll save this for when I get my first box made, then I'll graduate up. All right, here's my first. I saved my little template. All right, what are we going to put on here? How about I think I'm going to do that one. And I need a strip across there. Let's put this one down first. And then this one. Well, this batting is very cleany. I'm going to let these ends hang over until I get them stitched or pinned down at least. Okay. You can see nothing's hard about this so far. Okay, we got a beginning. Now we need a needle with some thread on it, don't we? Let's get a needle out of here. Well, here's one right here. We can just use that one. But I think before I stitch, I'm just going to add a little something for interest. I think that's a little too big. Let's cut him down a little. I like that better. We'll save that little piece for another day. All right, what do we got up here? I'm gonna use leftover threads up here on my light. I got some purple that's already 2 strands. Perfect. Now, I do want a backing fabric on this. That's not quite wide enough. Let's see what else I have. That one is. So let's catch him in there. Now, I've got a knot in it. I'm going to come up between my batting and the back layer for my first stitch. Go into that corner with 2 stitches just to hold it. Then I'm going to just start. Let's see, which direction do I want to go? I think I want to go across these stripe pattern here. All right, this is not going to be fancy little tiny stitches. This is just straight stitching with a reasonable size stitch. Come away from the edge just a little because I will be whip stitching along that edge, and so it doesn't have to be right on the edge. So maybe an 1/8, 1/4 inch away. I am going to go around it, and then I'll come back and do that, all the inside across the stripes. What's fun about this too is that, of course, with the smaller boxes, you have the option to use your smaller scraps and graduate up to your bigger scraps on your larger boxes, or you can stay with tiny scraps. It doesn't matter what you got, just use what you got. This is very, I'm thinking primitive, therefore I am not sweating my stitches at all. whatever comes out, spacing wise, size wise. It's all going to look great when it's finished and blended together. Trust me. When's the last time somebody said that to you and everything went wrong, right? Anything that you add, like the lace and everything, once you get your stitching on there, and you do want to stitch these pieces pretty good, because that is what really gives them a substantial feel and weight. And they do, you're making little boxes, you do want them to have that. And but once you get just the normal stitching across, you can always come back, stitch your edges, overcast them, whatever you want to do, if you feel like you don't want raw edges popping out everywhere. I love a project like this where there's just what I call a project challenged. If you're project challenged, this is perfect. There are days when I'm project challenged and I can't think straight, and none of my stitches come out right, and just, and what a project like this is just wonderful. Also, that it has an open date. I'm in no hurry, no time that I have to finish it. Okay, that's good too. I thought, that'll be good when I'm trying to recuperate after surgery the next several weeks. So if I have a project that I can just stitch on and I don't really have to sweat it, won't that be nice? That's another reason why I thought I'd go ahead and start this one, because I feel like I might need it. And so it's kind of going to be therapeutic for me too. My first surgery, I'll be wearing a neck brace, so I'm not sure how much I can tilt my head. And so, you got to have flexibility in your old neck when you're doing things that matter. You got to see well, but I don't have to see real well to do this one. Okay, I think I'm going to come along and just catch this little lace here in a couple places. Till my thread runs out. One lady asked me, how do you know when you're done? I said, well, in some cases it's when I run out of thread. But that was a joke. But actually, that's true sometimes. Let's see what I got here. Maybe I make one more stitch. Interesting stitches on our back side. Now I'm going to run this through the 2 layers out to the edge, and that's where I'm going to create a little knot, and that way my knots won't be showing on either side. We buried it to start with, and this one we're going to hide on the edge, and the edges are going to be whip stitched together. So that won't show either. So there's our little tie off. And now I will take it and go back through the center, come up anywhere, clip that off, and bury that end, okay? All right, there's our first side. Can you believe it? See if we can get this one trimmed up. Make sure I'm getting there. Kind of have to loop from both sides to keep it tied up next to that batting. And remember too that your little pieces that you stitch tend to shrink with the stitching, so they'll be end up a little bit smaller. Every one of them, no matter what size you start with, ends up a little bit smaller than the original, usually. Now it does for me anyway. Let's see. We'll look at it next to the template here in a minute and see if it shrunk. All right, that's our first side of one box. Let's look at our template. Well, you know what? That made a liar out of me. It might have just a ooch. Okay, just a ooch. If the more stitching you put in, the more it'll tend to draw up just a little. But that's okay, it's not a problem because it's gonna happen to each one of them, so it'll even out. So that's the first side of our box. Yay, I love it. All right, stick with me. All right, I wanna show you, I finished the little box, okay? This is the side I was stitching on, and you can see that this side has the embellishments on it. This one's just all sewn, and so is this. That's what the bottom looks like, and that's what inside looks like. Okay, and what I did was I took some yarn and I couched it all along the top, just left its little end sticking out, and that made a nice little cap for the top part there, okay? And I think I'll be doing that with yarn on each one of them. Now, I wanted to wait and show you how I attached on this little next one because it's a little bigger and you can see it better, but I think that's so adorable. I love it. My daughter came over and she said, "Oh, Mom, that'll make a great little thing for holding your rings and stuff." And I'm thinking, oh, I better nail this to the floor. It might go missing. But anyway, I love it. So let's go to the next one. I have the 2 panels for the next size up. Now this one's about an inch bigger all the way around than the other square. And so it's going to hopefully be the right size increments as I go up. I'll know after I get this one made if I like that increase or not. You just have to test it out and judge it for yourself, what you like, what you start with, and how much room you want in there, or how tight you want them to nest down and things like that. Now, all I do to attach these, and I'm going to bring you down so you can see closer, is I'm just going to put the inside edges together, okay? And that meets up pretty good. Some sides may be just a little off here and there, but it's okay, because when you're doing it, just pinch it together and sew up the slack or whatever it is you need to do. But anyway, that's what I do there. I've got my thread knotted, and I'm going to go down in the middle and just come up in that corner like that, and just kind of bury that thread right there in that seam. Okay. Now straighten it out so that when you start sewing, all your edges are there. Now I'm going to go diagonal across this, my first stitch. Okay, and then another. That'll anchor that corner very well. Then I will start coming to the side here, and I will start whip stitching. And I'm probably going down about 1/8 of an inch. Okay. And it's just going to be a tight whip stitch. What I mean tight is close together. Keep your edges level on this first round. Don't sweat it or overthink it. Don't try to make every little stitch perfect. Just eyeball you about 1/8 of an inch and start whip stitching, keeping your stitches close together. Especially, I'm only using 2 strands of embroidery floss. If you were using a much stronger thread or larger thread, you could get by with, you know, distancing a little bit more and so forth. So whatever you're using, you make the adjustments necessary to make it right. You want it to be strong and tight, and that's what helps the box to keep its shape. And I was real proud that on my little box, I really only had one side that wants to flare a little bit, but otherwise everything looks really good. He's just cute as he can be, and he's very substantial. Now, of course, this is done with scraps, so there's all colors of fabrics and threads. And so I don't sweat what color I'm using of thread, because, you know, it's scrappy, it's colorful, it's a little bit of everything. Of course, this green happens to match some green here, and I have some green back here, so I already had it out, so I thought I'd just use it anyway. But I think I've got peach and brown and black and orange, all kinds of threads in there. Now I am trying to embellish a little bit on the outside of my box, but pretty much just fabric and thread on the inside, as you can see. The outside, I'm trying to put a little bit more interest in it. Excuse me. Whew, these allergies. Anybody who suffers with them knows the drainage just drives you nuts. Okay. Well, I did get my final surgery date for my first surgery is the 20th of August. So we'll see what progresses from there. I know that I'll be in the hospital at least 3 days, and then so we'll see how I'm doing when I get home. I will definitely keep you updated best I can, and I will get back to video making also as quickly as I can, because that'll help me keep my mind on something I love and enjoy, and not drop into one of those woe is me holes. You ever been in one of those? Worst thing in life is to drop into a woe is me hole. Suddenly everything is about you and your misery. You carry a black cloud around with you everywhere. Before long you've got everybody around you in your woe is me hole too. And they hate to see you coming. So don't drop in none of those kind of holes. Okay, all right. Now, let's test that out. Nice bond. Okay. Very good, very tight. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take another stitch on the corner. Then I'm going to run down that seam a little bit. That's how I do it. You can do it any way you want. Get a little, just a little tuck there, enough to get me a little loop so I can put a knot in it. Get that little knot right there. Then I come right next to my, and run it down a little further. Come up. Pull it tight and snip it, and that will slip right back under, and you will never see that end of that thread. All right, that's how I'm going to attach the next two sides. Okay, and then when I get the next two sides made, I will come back in a different video and I will start on the bottom, which we really do the same way. But anyway, I will bring you along with me on that and show you how I'm going to do the bottom and this yarn at the top. All right, till next time, let's stay scrappy box happy.